So these are my free-range chickens in my garden, digging for bugs. I do not like having free-range chickens in my garden because as soon as I put any plants in, they come along where I was and dig up everything I just did. So keep this in mind if this is your plan. I would much rather have them locked up, at least for a while, and even after that they still will come and dig around the bottom of your plants and get the roots showing. And if you're wondering why I have straw everywhere, that is because the dirt here is very sandy. This has been a garden for a really long time and they tilled it every year. When we got here there was no worms. I planted stuff and had to water it twice a day because there was no organic matter at all in the dirt. It gets really hot here and really dry and windy, and so I decided, well, I'll start mulching it, and it actually turned out really well because now I can handle a pretty big area by myself with the weeds, and I'm very happy with it. And if you dig down at all, there's worms everywhere, so very happy. We did use pigs in here our first year, and we had like a pig tractor and rotated them around to eat the weeds. And basically all they did was, it wasn't the pigs we have now, we have a different kind now, but basically all they did was pull out the weeds, eat them. They left the roots and they compacted the dirt really, really bad. It was like cement, and the weeds that survived were super strong and came up, so it just turned into a giant weed patch again. And we had to take a panel off of the fence. That's a gate right there, but we had to take a panel off so we could fit the only tractor we had with a tiller on here and till everything up. So my husband did that, and then I put straw everywhere. This is wheat straw left over from all the wheat fields around here. And it's worked really well. So I'm in the greenhouse and I'm going to retie all of these baling twine things because when the wind was blowing, the greenhouse was out like this and they were tight, but now that it's relaxed I need to retie them all. And I'm going to start putting my perennial seedlings out here and then covering them at night. I moved my hardy perennials outside and the ornamental grass. I have to go out to the pasture and we have a bunch of composted cow manure out there that I'm gonna get to plant these ones in. I'm excited for this year though. And I also cut most of the dead stuff off the catmint from last year. I'm gonna fertilize it too, and I think phosphorus, I think it's lack of phosphorus that makes the leaves turn red. I'm not positive, but it's a lack of something. So I'll try to fix that too. Okay, I'm out in the cow pasture, and this manure has been dumped here for years, probably way before we were here. So it looks pretty good. It's nice and light. There's no weeds in it, which probably when I start watering it there'll be tons and tons of weeds, probably goat heads. Anyways, this is what I'm going to use for potting soil. So I got it back to the greenhouse and it's pretty nice and crumbly. It's probably full of sagebrush and goat heads, but in the spirit of self-sufficiency, this is what I have and what I'm going to use. I also decided this year I'm not going to use these peat pots anymore. They grow mold on them. I think mostly because I'm starting them in the house and it's nice and warm in there. But I don't like that. and they're just causing me an extra step. I could just plant them in here or start them off like this and prick them out and put them in a bigger one. And this is a lot easier and saves room. So that's what I'm going to do from now on, starting with my vegetables this week. For these ones that I grew in the container like this, I like this way because you're not wasting as much room. You can put a lot of seeds in there, and then you only use what's germinated. If you put it in a pot, this one seed in a pot, that seed might not germinate, and then you're wasting room. So this is a good way. I put the compost in this box up here because it's easier, closer to me. And then just make a little hole and get some out. Sorry. So I'm just putting it in the hole and using my bamboo stick or pen, whatever I have, and firming it in. So that's how I do those. And I think I'm going to try it like this with the vegetables, and then also just putting it in the containers, in these containers, and see which way I like better. These pots right here, they're kind of flimsy, but you can get a whole pack of them at the dollar store or Dollar Tree. So they're $1 for a pack of, I think, 10 or something. Last year I made the mistake of putting some of these ornamental grasses out. I just planted them in these plugs straight into the ground, because since I thought that they were grasses, they would grow really easy, and they got crowded out. And they actually grow pretty slow. It takes like 2 or 3 years for them to get established. So that's why I'm planting them in pots again. And I'm going to try that. I might even leave them in pots for a lot longer. Maybe plant them closer to fall. See how big they get. But that's just an experiment I'll have to do. When you're picking out flowers and things, you want to get the roots kind of loosened up, and then you only hang on to their true leaf. So these two are, these two are the seed leaves, and this one's the true leaf. There, sorry. And then you do the same thing. The wind picked up in the greenhouse again, but I got all of my perennials repotted and ornamental grasses. These are the ones I'm going to have in my prairie bed. The southern charm verbascum, the stipa sirocco. It's a reddish grass. You can kind of see a tint on some of them, but it's still really little. And the Mexican feathergrass, more of that. And a couple other flowers that I don't have out here started. Anyway, I haven't even messed with annuals or vegetables yet, and both of my tables are full. So tomorrow or the next day I'll start my vegetables. And one other thing I forgot to mention, when you put straw in your garden to cover, for mulch or wood chips, anything like that, you're only using a carbon, and so your plants won't like that after a while. It'll kind of suck up everything, all the nutrients. So you do need to add like compost or manure to keep everything healthy. And that's what I do, is now I use the bedding from my goats. Goat manure is like rabbit manure, where you don't have to compost it. You can just put it right on the plants, it won't burn it. Chicken manure, cow manure, everything else like that, you need to compost it or it will burn your plants. Alright, it's time for me to go in now. Have a good night.